Good morning and welcome to the Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's only local morning show, giving you exclusive access into people, businesses, and events in our community. We're bringing you this show live daily weekdays at 9:30 a.m. with your host, me, Maddie Mustion. Before we dive into today's show, every week we highlight someone, an educator, student, business, or organization from our Greater West Bloomfield community going above and beyond. If you would like to submit an entry for someone, you can scan the QR code on the screen, fill out the Google form with the person's name, their contact information, and reasons why you think they should be recognized here on the Splash Live for our Person of the Week. Now let's go check out what's going on in our Greater West Bloomfield community. The first event we want to look at is the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society Open House on Sunday, March 13th from 1 to 4 p.m. at the Orchard Lake Museum. You can see exhibits and videos about the F4 tornado that damaged dozens of West Bloomfield homes and businesses on March 20th, 1976. During this open house, you can learn about the important historical event in our community history. This event is free, and you can contact the Historical Society or visit their website at www.gwbhs.org for more information. Our next ongoing event is the Connect Center events at an Orchard Mall in West Bloomfield. They have a ton of great events and activities for seniors in our community. Some of those events coming up are their Counterfeit Detection Talk with Jennifer Day, who is a counterfeit technician with the U.S. Secret Service Detroit Field Office. At this event, you will learn about counterfeit detection. Pre-registration is required. On March 10th, they will be having their basic life support for healthcare workers. This is a blended learning course with both an online learning portion and a private hands-on session with American Heart Association instructor. After registration, a link to the online portion will be sent to the participant. The online self-directed component includes simulations, animations, and interactive events, which must be completed before the skills session that you plan to attend. The Connect Center also has great drop-in fitness sessions if you're looking to get up and get moving. Some of the classes that they provide are mat Pilates, Zumba, and strength training, and so many more. For any of these events, you can go to the registration tab on the West Bloomfield Parks website, click on the event of your choosing, and register through there. The next event for the West Bloomfield Parks is next Wednesday, March 9th at 6 p.m. West Bloomfield Parks is hosting a 6 Pillars of Character workshop for children ages 7 to 11 years, where they will learn the importance of trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship. They will learn how to put these 6 pillars of characters to work in their lives. Registration for this event closes tomorrow at midnight, so make sure to register through the West Bloomfield Parks website to secure your child's spot. Our next ongoing event is the Sylvan Lake Game Nights event. This event is perfect if you're looking for something fun to do this winter and spring. Whether you go alone or with friends, the Sylvan Lake Game Nights are a great way to socialize safely with your neighbors and friends. Sylvan Lake Game Nights take place every Wednesday when there is not a Sylvan Lake board meeting in the community center. Game night starts at 5:30 and will go to about 9 p.m. at the community center. This event is open to all Sylvan Lake residents. You're welcome to bring any family and friends that you wish. They also will have some great games, including Mahjong and Euchre, but you're welcome to bring any board games or card games that you would like to play with your fellow Sylvan Lake residents. If you have an event you would like us to feature here on the Splash Live, you can send us a message on our social media pages at Civic Center TV and Facebook at Civic Center TV 15. Coming up, we'll be talking with Nicole Ferguson, who is going to be walking us through a very fun and delicious recipe today. But before that, it's time to look at our Person of the Week. This person has committed herself to making sure that the businesses in Greater West Bloomfield get the support and networking they need, especially throughout the pandemic. Suzanne Levine works with other leaders in the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce to create fun and interactive events to make our community thrive. Let's go check out now why we named Suzanne Levine our Person of the Week.
Our Person of the Week this week has committed herself to the Greater West Bloomfield community and the businesses that are a part of it. Suzanne Levine, Executive Director for the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce, works diligently to make sure that throughout the pandemic, businesses are still able to network and connect through their virtual events and programs.
Well, we have like a vision And usually there are things that I've planned, whether it's our leadership breakfasts, our awards breakfasts, our health fair. We've reintroduced our Cup of Connections, where now we're going to be doing this on the second Friday of every month, where we're inviting our chamber members to open up their business and allow people to come in and network. I think there is a need from the community to want to have some in-person events. So, part of it is just, laying out a plan and then seeing what resources I need to make sure that these plans can be executed properly.
During her time as the executive director, Suzanne has implemented 3 specialty groups within the chamber: the Senior Resource Group, the Next BIG or Big Thing, and the Women's Inspiration Network. She dedicates her time to help support small to medium businesses and connect them with the resources they need to grow and thrive in our community.
There's so many more benefits than just being a chamber member. I consider myself a business matchmaker, so I love when I can make a connection between 2 partners. So this is like such a great way for businesses to collaborate for mutual benefit, and it doesn't cost them any extra money, but it's just a way for them to hopefully do some business with other businesses and spread the word.
Suzanne also works with the other members of the chamber to put on great events that allow our community members to socialize safely with each other, including the Health and Wellness Fair and the Leadership Lunch. These events allow the members and business owners to branch out and learn new things that they need in order to get involved with the community. Her commitment to the Greater West Bloomfield community and passion for business matchmaking is why we named Suzanne Levine our Person of the Week.
Thank you again to Suzanne Levine for all the work that she does in our community to make sure that our business leaders are supported, and for always joining us on the Splash Live to talk about the amazing things that the Chamber is up to. Later on, we'll be taking a look at a staple restaurant here in our Greater West Bloomfield community that prides themselves on quality food and house-made beer. But before that, we're going to be taking a short break here on the Splash Live, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live.
In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important. And now the same is true as we face the flu. Influenza has the potential to infect millions, putting lives and the healthcare system at risk. Fortunately, it's easy to protect yourself. The flu vaccine is safe and effective, and with COVID-19 still spreading, it's essential. To see how you can hit this virus head-on, visit michigan.gov/flu. Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer. Because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be like happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
And now, back to the Splash Live.
Welcome back to the Splash Live. I'm Maddie Mustion. I got to stop by a staple here in Greater West Bloomfield that is bringing the feeling of community and house-made beer and food to the area. CJ's Brewing Company, located off of Richardson Road, is the perfect place to gather with friends and family. I got to talk with the Assistant General Manager, Tyson Forrester, about why you should make CJ's your go-to restaurant. Let's go check it out.
Calling all beer fanatics and lovers of local restaurants. CJ's Brewing Company has all the beer and homemade food you could dream of right here in Greater West Bloomfield. We visited CJ's and talked to Assistant General Manager Tyson Forrester about their history and the food and beer they serve.
Well, as far as CJ's is concerned, we were started back in 1997. For probably a majority of the early 2000s, we were number 5 in the state for beer production, which is saying a lot how small our brewery is. We actually have a brew pub license, which allows us to keep a full liquor bar, as well as our brewing process. So we do a lot of fun stuff. Our top 5 is our normal Golden Lager American Wheat VAT 33 IPA, Lower Straight Stout, and our Rich Hag Red that we have. We always have at least 14 to 16 taps, and everything is made in-house. We do have a few domestics that, believe it or not, we end up having to throw some of them away because they fall past the date because our beer is so good. What I will say about our beer is it is true to the type of beer. Like our Lower Straight Stout, it doesn't have a lot of big, I call them foo-foo flavors for me. You know, my husband likes Neapolitan Stout from Saugatuck Brewing Company. I love our Lower Straight Stout because it is a stout and it's not thick. So you can have more than one and not feel full. We have a scratch kitchen, so everything down to the sauces, down to the doughs is made in-house, which I think wrapping that around the fact that we have so much good beer works well for us.
We also asked Tyson how the COVID-19 pandemic impacted CJ's and the rest of their staff.
Throughout the pandemic, you know, we had a lot of people that were very nervous about what was going on in the real world, you know. Information came in spurts. One of the big things that I preached from day one was, you know, all of the rules and regulations that the health department has put us in, we already do that. So you don't have to learn anything new other than, you know, triple the amount of times that you might wipe a door handle. And that was our focus. You know, a lot of people were affected differently. They reacted differently. I know a lot of our fellow restaurants were really, really affected by the shutdown with what happened with COVID-19 and then, you know, the increased restrictions that the restaurant industry held.
Tyson also talked about his love for the Greater West Bloomfield area as well as what the community means to them.
I always tell everybody we're far enough away but close enough to be there. You know, we don't have the hustle and bustle that you see if you're shooting down Woodward from Birmingham all the way to Detroit. There's pride, there's a sense of pride whenever you say, you know, I live in West Bloomfield. I don't ever feel like ashamed or upset.
If you're looking for a place to eat that feels like a community, CJ's Brewing Company in Greater West Bloomfield is the place for you. Reporting for The Splash Live, I'm Maddie Mustion.
Thank you to Tyson Forrester for giving us an inside look into CJ's Brewing Company in Greater West Bloomfield. Their love for the West Bloomfield community and their patrons is off the charts, so make sure to stop by to check out their expansive list of beers and great food. We're going to take a short break here on the Splash Live, but when we get back, we'll be joined by Nicole Ferguson and learn how to make Nicole's own take on Sylvan Table's coffee cream bread pudding. So don't go anywhere. We'll be joined with Nicole after this break.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live.
This message brought to you by FEMA. Home fires occur most often in winter. Keep anything that can catch fire at least 3 feet from heating equipment. And never use an oven to heat your home. Stay in the kitchen when frying, grilling, or broiling food. Turn space heaters off when you leave the room or go to bed. Make sure all vents are clear of snow and ice to allow carbon monoxide to vent outside. Have your furnace, heating system, and chimneys serviced each year by a qualified professional. Learn more at www.usfa.fema.gov.
Teens a day die from texting and driving. Don't text and drive.
And now, back to The Splash Live.
Welcome back to The Splash Live. I'm your host, Maddie Mustion. We are so excited now to bring a new regular segment here on the Splash Live. Every so often, we will have a very special guest joining us to teach us how to make exciting recipes and give us tips on fueling our bodies properly. Without further ado, joining us now is Nicole Ferguson to teach us how to put a twist on Sylvan Table's coffee cream bread pudding. Nicole, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Hello, good morning. Oh, thank you for having me. I'm so excited about this segment.
I know, it's awesome. We did a little test run before today's show with your different camera angles. So let's get into it. Nicole, will you tell us what we'll be learning how to make today?
We're doing a mashup of bread pudding, kind of cups or even a loaf. So I always still try to be very, very conscious, especially when having dessert, that we can always go to like using muffin pans. So we only get maybe about 4 ounces of dessert. So it's almost automatically portion control. But my little boy was so excited when I made these. I started making them in little ramen cups. They're a little bit bigger than the 4 ounce portions, but he can handle it. It's the only dessert that he still requests. So I'm really excited about making it today. And I'm so, I just want to say a special thank you to Sylvan Table and Kay for sharing the recipe. They were just so generous with sharing the recipe. When my girlfriend brought me a little something back after I did some babysitting for her, I was just so enthralled with the muffins that I went on this search of trying to do a mashup of recipes. So that's what we're doing today. I'm kind of mixing the recipes together.
Awesome. Well, let's get into it. What are some of the first things that we need to know when starting to make this recipe?
So at Sylvan Table, they used a homemade, and one thing I really appreciate about them, they use locally produced, ethically raised, in everything they do. They've made me a little bit more intentional about how I'm cooking, how I want to cook, how I want to express. So they used a sweet bread, and I'm using a brioche. So I got my brioche, and you can use rolls. I've substituted this recipe with brioche rolls, hot dog rolls, anything and everything brioche. And you can also, you can also mix it in with something like artisanal bread or something like that as well, if that's what you have. But whatever you have on file is at home is just fine. I just took some of the rolls and just by hand, just nice rough cut with my fingers. And this is great for kids, getting kids to cook in the kitchen. I love having my kids in here with me.
Yeah, an easy task that they can do.
An easy, ripping up stuff.
Yes.
My kids do a really good job with ripping things up and tearing things up. So the recipe calls for about 4 cups, but I kind of just eyeball everything. And if I have if the loaf is 16 ounces, that's what I kind of go for. So after the rough, on a baking sheet, 300 degrees, nice low temperature for about 20 minutes. And those go in the oven. And then the magic of TV, they come out kind of like this. So like I said, I have 2 loaf pans. And one's a loaf pan and the other one are ramekins. And by the way, so I'm getting ready the mixture together for to pour on top of the crusty bread. And this is like my own spin. And I will always recommend, I ran out of milk this morning. So I will always recommend evaporated milk in your pantry. So you always have like a backup, and it's like 2 cups. And I'm just starting that with some melted butter. Now, one of the recipes that I looked at called for buttermilk. Now, keep in mind, buttermilk, you don't have to go out and buy it. You can just have milk and just put a little bit of lemon. Just put a little lemon in there, and that'll thicken it up just like buttermilk.
Okay.
And one of the deviations from Sylvan Table's recipe, instead of eggs, they use egg yolks, which of course makes everything like really, really rich. And keep in mind, I am so not a baker. I'm just like a really savory person. So getting all these little tips and tricks is great. And then instead of, you can use brown sugar. I'm using brown sugar in the glaze that goes on top of the bread pudding.
Okay.
I'm using organic cane sugar. So I'm mixing that. And we have vanilla extract. And I knew there was something special about Sylvan tables, their bread pudding, because I'm like, what is that? There's something else that's there. And it's Bailey's Irish cream.
Oh, okay.
So that is fabulous, but I couldn't find Bailey's, but I found some Godiva.
Ooh,
which,
even better.
No harm, no foul. And I guess if you're cooking, you can always have a little sample in your coffee. I think that's always acceptable.
You need to taste everything before it goes in.
You need to taste everything before it kind of goes in. So, and I also thought I had some really warm notes. So I'm adding some nutmeg, just a little bit, just a splash.
Okay.
And some cinnamon. And that makes it really, really fun there with the spices. So I got my cast of characters and I'm just mixing away. And so I have this nice liquid, this unctuous liquid to pour over my bread pudding. Now, even when I've, the recipes that I've looked at and I compared online, all of them call for soaking the bread for about a couple of hours. I've even done mine overnight, but I'll show you the preparation. So I've mixed that up nicely. And I have my little scoop that I'm going to use. So before I add my liquid, I'm going to go back to the cutting board, and I'm using praline pecans.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just adding a little. I'm going to call myself adding some protein to to dessert. It makes me feel better about eating it or pushing it on my kids.
Yeah.
That they get to have a little extra protein as part of their dessert. So maybe that they can have it in the morning. So I just dice those up, and I'm just gonna put them in the middle here. Just kind of mix it all around.
Give it a little extra crunch.
A little here, a little extra crunch, a little extra. Praline, there's a little extra sugar in there too, but I always say you can't outrun a bad diet, but we shouldn't be denying ourselves those pleasures, especially something so special. If you find a dessert that really catches your eye, that's not just pure sugar, but that has real depth of flavor, this is it.
Yeah.
This is the way to go.
And this looks like a recipe too that you would be able to, if you don't like pecans, putting in some other types of nuts, or if you have a dietary restriction, maybe using oat milk or something like that. So you can kind of mix and match it to kind of meet your dietary needs.
And that's the great thing about this recipe. It is so versatile. Even with the bread you can use, this was really meant. This recipe was meant for like stale bread.
Yeah.
Day-old bread, and it can just absorb everything. And even, I'm sure if we played around, we could probably make this a savory version as well.
Yeah.
And I do have some. Another way I'm going to kind of help myself eat more dessert. I have some dark chocolate chips. So I have dark chocolate chocolate chips, and
nice.
I won't put them in all of them, but I'll just kind of do a sprinkle, just a little bit, so everything is like, that chocolate kind of sinks in there.
A little extra surprise.
A little extra surprise. This is, literally, this is. My husband and my daughter love sweets. They can't get enough of sweets, so I don't have them in the house that often. But my son, who's a thinnest, he doesn't like sweets at all. So he actually asked me for this recipe the other day. So he has been asking for it. And right now I'm just pouring our liquid mixture of the the buttermilk, or my version of buttermilk, the cane sugar, the vanilla, the cinnamon. I'm just pouring that in those egg yolks. I'm pouring that right over my bread.
Nice. And I
this is
mean,
gonna
you make it look so easy, but there's really not much to it as long as you have all the components.
If I can bake it, and I'm not a baker, now I can do a 15-pound brisket.
Yeah.
I can do, I've done beef Wellington before. I've gone to gambit with what I will cook and serve, and dessert is not my thing. I buy dessert, but this is so easy, and it's so tasty.
Yeah.
I mean, what could be? It's bread and butter. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this.
Yeah.
So this is gonna soak.
Okay.
And then we're going to bake it. And I don't have one of these already baked, or I would have ate it. So here we go. It's gonna soak. And after it soaks, we're gonna put it in the oven for about 35 minutes. Just gonna stick this in the oven. There we go. And then when it comes out, it's going to be all nice and bubbly. And then that's when we have our glaze here. And our glaze is brown sugar, maple syrup, and I do, now I do have syrup for the kids, which comes in like a plastic container.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost very much. And then I have the syrup when I really cook, the very expensive syrup. So I usually get mine from Aldi, has good prices on like pure maple syrup. And this is maple syrup time. So I do encourage you, Michigan State, out on Meadowbrook Road, they have a great maple sugaring program also. And I got mine at Trader Joe's yesterday. So
perfect. So if you have somewhere
you want the good
local,
stuff.
yeah, if you have somewhere local around here, maple sugaring is happening all around Michigan now. So if you have a place where you can get your hands on some local stuff, but Trader Joe's has a good maple syrup as well.
They have a really good maple syrup, but all of March, I believe, is maple. They're having sugar events all over the Tri-County area.
Yes.
So I'm just going to go off camera, and I'm going to get the good stuff, which my kids will eat anything with cream.
Perfect.
So after it comes out from baking, and we have our glaze, we're going to pour our glaze over the bread pudding, and then we're going to serve with this. So I'm going to pretend like it already is. So I'm going to just get a little sampling here, because I think it's so good and so tasty. Now keep in mind, we put it in the oven just enough to get all of the eggs to cook, because it is like a custard. So we would do a portion.
And Nicole, we only have a couple of seconds left too.
Okay, cool. So this would be my portion, so to speak.
Oh, perfect.
And then I would put the glaze over it. A little bit goes a long way. And then I would top it off. Oh, if I can get that off. With whipped cream. And then I would do a little bit of a sprinkle.
Oh, perfect.
Of cinnamon.
Awesome.
Ta-da!
Well, Nicole, we're gonna wrap up here, but we appreciate you joining us, and enjoy that tomorrow when it's done cooking.
I will. It's so much fun. Thank you for having me. And again, I really appreciate Sylvan Table for inspiring me and sharing the recipe with me.
For all of our friends in Orchard Lake, Sylvan Lake, Keego Harbor, and West Bloomfield, I'm Maddie Mustion. Thank you for watching The Splash Live.